Hello, my name is Kylie Pelker, and my partner is Emily Bain, and we are doing assignment 2. For the overview, I will be doing Anna of the 1,000 Days analysis, and then Emily will be doing The Other Boleyn Girl. I will obviously be doing the visual, oral, chronological, and thematic accuracy of Anna of 1,000 Days, and she will be doing The Other Boleyn Girl with the visual, oral, chronological, and thematic accuracy, and she will also be doing the conclusion. Okay, so Anne of 1,000 Days, which was kind of an odd movie, but for the claim of the historical truthfulness, I felt that there was really no truth claim that was stated within the movie. I did realize that at the end of the movie, it did state that it was based off of another film. I didn't catch what it said, if it said what specific film it was. The film in England, it did say it was filmed in England as well. So I did catch that. The visual accuracy, the outfits both look suitable, I think, for both movies as well. And Emily will talk more about that with The Other Boleyn Girl, but the outfits were very rich. The people that were within the castle did look a little older, but it was pretty good. I would say like it looked like an older style, but it did look pretty good. The people were dancing, and the men were also wearing tights, which I thought was suitable. They did look very fancy, and the women did have some weird like headbands on their head, which I thought was kind of odd, but it did look like it fit the time period as well. People were outside of the film, that were outside of the castle. They did look poor, and they looked rubbish and looked dirty, and they were like yelling at Anne and calling her not nice names, I should say. But I felt that Mark did look like he was tortured. Mark was Anne's lover before Henry took her, I should say. But they did torture Mark to lie a little bit, and you could definitely tell that he looked like he was being tortured, which I thought was fitting. And at the end, when Anne was killed, was beheaded, I felt that it did kind of show like an above scene where she was killed, that she wasn't there, but it did look like there was blood from whenever she was killed, and that looked like it fitted this scene as well. Like it wasn't, it looked as if it fit the scene. The oral accuracy, I felt that the music fit the scenes very well. Most of the background music was from other, I should say, the characters making their own music within the film. It was played with instruments and stuff like that, so I felt that was really good. And you could also hear cannons and horses running, which was very good. And you could hear a lot of people like making like noises such as breathing, and then many other background noises as well, which I thought was really good for the movie. But not a whole lot of background music. It was just music played within the characters from instruments and stuff, which was fitting for the time period. There was a lot going on with the thematic accuracy, I felt like. Like Anne was very quick to love Henry. She hated him at first and wanted nothing to do with him, but then now she loved him. And then the king was very quick to make decisions, like wanting people killed, or, wants Anne right away, or doesn't want Anne, is, very quick to make decisions, doesn't think things out very well. And then, people are being beheaded in the Catholic Church, which is very odd, considering it's Catholic, and, Catholics kind of have, certain rules to abide by and follow. And people are being beheaded, I felt like, he is the king, and, he kind of gets what he wants and everything, but, he's wants to be faithful in the Catholic Church and has a lot to do with that, and, he's having people beheaded, which is odd. And Henry does say he's very faithful, but he's not, because he's having people killed as well. And Henry married Anne before getting a divorce with the Queen, which I felt was odd, and doesn't really follow the Catholic Church as well. And divorce also wasn't very common back then, so that is odd. And then the cardinal was in bed with another woman, which I thought was odd. I'm not sure what rules that he has to follow, but I know that like a nun and a priest, that they cannot have any significant others or anything like that. For the chronological accuracy, there's no seasons, there's no change in season or anything, and years had to have gone by because there was 2 babies being born, which, there had to be years going by, and it doesn't really state any type of time period or anything like that, or how many years have went by. The characters did not change. Also, the only person that did change was Elizabeth, and she grew up pretty quick. She was a baby, and then she ended up being a toddler and walking around on her own and everything like that, which I thought was odd as well.
Hi, my name is Emily Bain, and I will be doing the other Bowling Girl analysis. And as we saw earlier, Kylie did the Anna of 1,000 Days analysis. Claims of historical truthfulness. There was no real claim stated through the movie. It didn't say based off a true event or anything like that. But towards the end of the movie, when the kids were out playing in what looked like a meadow, they did flash back to each of the main characters and say where they were or what they did. And one that stood out to me is when they were painting over the kids, and it said, he did leave an heir who was to rule over England for 45 years, Elizabeth. And then the movie was based in England, and you could tell that throughout the movie, and they also did reference it in the movie, saying they were in England. When analyzing the visual accuracy, through the pregnancies of Anne, Catherine, and Mary, all the multiple pregnancies, you could see their baby bumps, and you could see after they had the baby bump was gone. And then throughout the movie, everybody had appropriate costumes that it seemed like, and especially during what I noticed was during the balls where they were dancing, the women had the big dresses and the tight corsets, and the men had the pants that had the tights they wore and the shoes and the big shoulder pad things they had on. And then the house of the Bowling Girls, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but at the beginning the Bowling Girls' mother and father were talking about how their house was kind of unkept, and you could also see how their house was unkept and things kind of need to be fixed. And after Mary started dating Henry, you could see that the house looked a lot nicer, and the dad Thomas brought the girls in and said that Henry paid off all their debts and they were doing great. And also the beheaded scene, you could see, kind of graphic, you could see after Anne got beheaded, you could see the blood on, when they did the over panning of the scene, you could see the blood on the ground, and you could also see her head was attached from the body, and it was kind of laying to the side. So that does wonders for the visual accuracy. It's kind of graphic, but it just shows that this really happened and reinforces to the viewer that Anne is dead. She got beheaded. The oral accuracy of the film, you could hear the music at the ball. It seemed very appropriate, like a waltz dance for 2 people. And then the nature sounds, you could hear the birds chirping throughout, and then all the nature sounds. And the animal sounds, like when they were riding their horses, you could hear them going through the grass and going through water or rocks or whatnot. And then you could tell that Henry and basically all the people that were surrounded by Henry were highly educated people. You could tell they were not peasants or undereducated. The thematic accuracy. For this one was kind of hard, but you could tell that during this time that Thomas, the dad of the Boleyns, was very concerned with the king's happiness because he knew that this is how their family would become successful, would be on the up and up, which was you wanted to be on the up and up, and especially with the king. And the king gets what he wants no matter what, it seems like. So he married Catherine, and then he got bored with Catherine, so he started dating Mary, and then he went on to Anne, and then he went on to Jane Seymour. When he got bored with one, he went on to the other, which I could see that being right with the timeline of the movie. But what I thought was a little bit weird was the king said at the beginning of the movie how he wanted a son and how much he wanted a son, and then Mary gives him a son, and then it was never mentioned ever again. And then he wasn't in line to be the king when Henry died, which I thought was a little weird. I don't completely understand that, but and then also marriage is looked at as an alliance in this time period because Henry married Catherine to keep the alliance of Spain and England, which is very important. In this time period, it wasn't, I love you, I want to get married. It's, how can we benefit? What benefit will you bring me? The chronological accuracy, you could tell the pregnancy of the women. They weren't pregnant for what seemed like a day, and then they had their child. And then the aging of Henry's children, what I thought was kind of weird is for the first two children that were born, you saw them as babies, and then you never really saw them again until the very, very end where they are painting over the lives of all the main characters. So I thought that was kind of weird. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but and then the aging of Henry, Anne, and Mary, and basically all the main characters, you didn't really see them age at all. And it seemed like this went on for, the movie took place in over a year span, so I don't really understand why I didn't see any significant aging at all. In conclusion, when comparing the two films, The Other Bowling Girl and Anne of the Thousand Days, I feel like they both, me and Kylie, both feel like they did good in the visual and oral accuracy. When looking at the nature sounds, the costumes, etc., we didn't see anything glaring that was like, this does not fit at all. But when we looked at the thematic and chronological accuracy, we felt like The Other Bowling Girl kind of lacked in that sense. Especially with the aging. We didn't see any of the characters' age at all. And then Mary's son, which really stood out to me, he was born and then we never saw him again until the very end when we saw all three of the children together playing. And I don't think the movie was very detailed at all, and I think a big reason that might have to do with that is because of, if you look at the timing of Anne of the Thousand Days and The Other Bowling Girl, Anne of the Thousand Days is a little over 2 hours and The Other Bowling Girl is an hour and 55 minutes. So you can't fit all the detail in an hour and 55 minutes in a movie that's a little over 2 hours. But overall, I feel like they both did good in visual and oral accuracy. It's just that The Other Bowling Girl should have worked a little bit harder on the thematic and chronological accuracy. But thank you for watching.